Just as Zuma Rock looms impressively against its skyline, Nigeria's capital territory of Abuja still stands as a blueprint for the modern African city. When its history is written, one name that will be hard to ignore is that of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. The successful quantity surveyor and then Czar of the Bureau of Public Enterprise had taken office as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory on 16 July 2003. His innovative style of administration would win him the admiration of many and the ire of some. What few could argue till this day is that his legacy remains unsurpassed by any of his predecessors or successors, for that matter. His run ended in May 2007, but he wasn't through with public service.
APC! Nigeria!
El-Rufai turned his sight northward to Kaduna, where he had been raised and where his heart remained. But he had to bide his time until a window of opportunity, and the wind of change that was the 2015 elections swept him into the office of the governor of Kaduna State.
By choosing us to lead all of our people, man and woman, adult and child, Christian and Muslim, on the difficult road to our freedom from soul-crushing poverty and human degradation, I pledge to you today to work day and night to make Kaduna great again.
The euphoria of victory quickly done with, the new governor promptly set about tackling the challenges to his vision of a Kaduna restored to its former greatness and put on the path to further glory. One immediate task was stabilizing the chaotic fiscal situation in the northwestern state, and true to his style, Governor El-Rufai along with his deputy, Bala Bantex, made the first significant cuts to state spending by chopping the pair's salary by half. Through the years, much has been said about Nigeria's bloated civil service. After a tour of the state's ministries and agencies, a convinced El-Rufai decided to do something about his state's situation. He adjusted the numbers. It's no gainsaying that this action led to a considerable reduction in Kaduna's civil service population. The new administration, however, knew it would take more than a couple of high-profile salary cuts and a downsizing of the civil service cadre to restore the state to sound fiscal health. New capital had to be found, and new capital meant more investment to be attracted from wherever it would be found. And thus, Governor El-Rufai and his crack economic team began to sing more loudly of Kaduna's investment credentials to prospective suitors at home and abroad. And the first big stage was the Economic and Investment Summit, a first for the state, and quite a few of the wood said they like what they heard. One of them, the multinational agric conglomerate, Olam, moved to put its money, and a fair amount at that, where its mouth was, when it invited the governor to do the honors at the groundbreaking ceremony of its international fertilizer processing plant along the Abuja-Kaduna highway, just 2 days after the summit. From one plant, the new administration went on to break other types of grounds and the rest of the year. As 2015 rolled out, Team El-Rufai was gathering considerable momentum and seemed on track to taking Kaduna to a bright new dawn. The first half-year run may have turned the gaze of many towards the northwestern state, but the inevitable question that rose to their lips was, will they keep it up in the new year?
Kaduna State is a peaceful land. Our people are peaceful people. We believe in peace and unity, and together we can make it work. Mama de papa de yara, koana murna. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, Kaduna is great again, and Kaduna is peaceful again. It's a greener, safer Kaduna for us all. I stand for peace.
Of course, it all effectively begins with the budget.
Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, Kaduna State has a young population, with 87.5% of its residents being under the age of 35. People below 18 constitute 44% of our population. We have a duty to ensure that this abundance of youth is transformed into potential that propels growth rather than peril. To ensure that they have a future, we, the older generation, and at the age of 55, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm a dinosaur in this state. We, the older generation, above the age of 35, must all make sacrifices, free up resources for development, and commit to upholding law and order while promoting harmony across our communities. Cutting costs is a clear testament of sacrifice. This is what we began to do since May 29, 2015. This, Mr. Speaker, sir, laid the basis for us to commence preparations for the 2016 budget on the zero-based budgeting framework. ZBB enabled ministries, departments, and agencies to cut respective budgets to a realistic size and to ensure that its line items are realistic, implementable, and fully funded.
Your Excellencies, we are very mindful of the current global economic recession. However, we have to believe that the little resources being managed by the state will address the need of all sectors of the state. In conclusion, let it be assured that Honorable House will attend to their 2017 budget proposal in line with all legislative procedures and consultations where necessary.
Bringing in the businesses which will bring in the jobs, building up the economy, and ultimately empowering the people. Empowerment was very much on the mind of the administration when it kick-started the year with the commencement of the school feeding program, which is geared at providing one free meal daily to the over 1.5 million pupils in the public primary schools within the state. The government also abolished the collection of fees and levies in the public primary and junior secondary schools. Parents applauded, and this lifted a 3 billion naira burden from the collective shoulders. The administration, knowing that education had helped to make the state great once, was certainly going to give the sector due care and attention if it was serious about making Kaduna great again. And so, it continued on its extensive and capital-intensive renovation of schools across the state. The work on this girls' school also underscores the premium the administration places on the education of the girl child.
Already said, it is very, very gladdening to know that the government is giving education the attention it is given. And I believe it is going to improve the standard of education. One thing about education, and as an educationist myself, I know that having conducive atmosphere for learning normally improves learning of the students. And I believe this one is going to do exactly the same.
Obviously, I feel so happy because the school wasn't bad, but at least it wasn't good enough for the students to stay. But now the government has been repairing the school, renovating the classes, the hostels, the environment of the school. The students will have a standard facilities for learning and many other things.
Training and preparing human capital will no doubt play a major role in bringing the glory back to Kaduna, but other measures will be required. In addition to the trimming of its civil service structure, the administration had adopted a Treasury single account policy the previous September, and as a result had within mere months recovered and saved billions in revenue. It was becoming increasingly clear that it would have to apply streamlining to other aspects of doing business in the state, and simplifying the processes was going to be key to this new direction. A case in point was the retooling of the hitherto multi-tentacled tax system to come up with a unified tax code. With its house being put in better order, the government now had greater impetus to invite others to come in and find a place.
We are hoping by this effort that we will bring into the net not less than 4,000 new businesses that will be registered. And you know, once you get to know your businesses, you can then support them by way of loans. You can be able to capture their taxes and so on. So these are the ways by which this reform is intended to improve on the revenue base.
And more than a few have walked through the door, like returnee investor Olam, bearing more eggs to put in Kaduna's basket.
New venture is a win-win for Olam and Nigeria. Domestically produced meat is being hampered by lack of good quality feed, support of farmers, and availability of young stock. But the consumption is set to increase. By investing in poultry and fish feed, we can utilize the wheat bran from our wheat milling operation, as well as maximize our sourcing network to buy corn, soy from local farmers. Our investment in the hatchery will help boost poultry production and in the long run, help reduce countries' reliance on imports. This development underlines the continued confidence we as an organization have in Nigeria's ambition for self-sufficiency, food self-sufficiency.
The overwhelming goal of our roadmap is to build an agri-business economy capable of meeting our domestic food security requirements, generating exports to broaden the national revenue base, and supporting sustainable income through wealth creation, promotion of entrepreneurial activities for fostering youth employment and enhancing national productivity. A visionary goal which Olam and Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, has keyed into very aptly, and today we are witnessing.
In September 2015, we were invited to Singapore to meet with Olam's senior management to discuss projects in Kaduna State. I will tell you the story at the end, but I'm here very happy to say that within 7 months, and very unusual for a large multinational company, Olam is here, has made an investment decision, and we are here to do the groundbreaking. We are very grateful to Olam.
After the meat came the potatoes. Literally, when the state and the Mangkok people of the Kaura local government area welcomed the agro-allied Vikampro farms as work on its 10 billion naira potato farm and processing facility, the first of its kind, took off in earnest.
What we are seeing today is the implementation of our ministry's Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan, where the model of backward integration and the promotion of agribusiness is encouraged. Value addition to our commodities is what sustains our economic growth. To the Governor of Kaduna State, first I'd like to say thank you for being invited to this auspicious function and to say that this is no surprise to us, as you always show us that the word impossible has possible in it.
The agricultural sector development is number one of the priority sectors of the present administration. This is because we recognize the role of the sector as one of the highest potential for inclusive social and economic development. Developing the agricultural sector will no doubt bring huge investments which will translate in improving the lives of our people, particularly those living in the host communities, and at the same time give us the economic benefits like increased internally generated revenue, job creation, and inclusive growth.
The administration has always seized the opportunity to express its joy that the Olam, Vikampro and other cross-border multinational projects being set up in the state are creating tens of thousands of jobs for the people. But what it hasn't done is stressed on these particular areas for the economic empowerment of the employable, especially the youth. Also drawing from its own coffers, it has sought to encourage self-employment and entrepreneurship among young people.
We know how determined His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, is to reduce the unemployment challenges facing the state. We at the Bank of Industry are irrevocably committed to working assiduously with His Excellency and his team in this regard.
Your government sees you as the future and treats youth with the seriousness they deserve. This government believes that the future of this country is hardworking, designing young people who have trained their minds and hearts and whose trust in honest endeavor is anchored on values that link effort with reward. Oh, the minister is with me. Yes. Okay.
Of course, it would take a healthy population to create wealth and enjoy it. It would also need the engagement of capable and committed partners to deliver effective healthcare to the grass, roots and shoots.
We will work with our partners to address underlying bottlenecks that constrain the performance of the primary healthcare system in the state. Part of this commitment is to put more money to finance healthcare and to also develop sustainable health financing mechanisms that go beyond reliance on tax-based financing and mitigate the financial burden to households in accessing healthcare. Strong governance, performance management and accountability are also critical to ensuring that primary health care systems function well. We are therefore grateful to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the UK Department for International Development for their support.
We look for partners who are innovative, for partners who are committed, and for partners who are frank and honest about the challenges that are faced. This memorandum arises out of a frank assessment of the health challenges faced in Kaduna State. This is a real commitment by serious actors, the state government, Your Excellency, under your leadership, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the United Kingdom Department for International Development, to improve the primary healthcare services, to improve access to those services, fundamentally to improve the lives and life chances of countless thousands of people. That is what will flow from the work that has been done to date, from the Memorandum of Understanding that will be signed today.
Kaduna State, under the leadership of His Excellency, remains the only state that has provided and met the budgetary provision as provided by the state team and released the funds completely.
And one of these products is what we call the V-Scan. It's quite highly portable.
Any kind of modern healthcare delivery will be cumbersome without the sophisticated equipment to aid the cause, and companies like General Electric are adding a jolt of life to the mission of Kaduna Health.
It might sound simple to combine technologies, education and skills development, and service and maintenance, but there are very few authorities that have, or cities or governments, that have efficiently done this at primary care level throughout Africa. So we commend definitely Kaduna to, in some manner, showing the example, and we hope to be able to help and work together with other cities, other states throughout Nigeria.
Integral to this picture of health is the supply of clean and potable water to the populace. 30 years after it was abandoned, the Zaria Water Project is being resurrected to provide the stuff of life. This multi-billion naira endeavor will, on completion and at full capacity, meet the needs of more than 1 million inhabitants of Zaria, Sabongeri, and several surrounding communities.
We have about 10 kilometers out of 73 that is being executed by Gamji. Then we have 2 service reservoirs out of 10 that are to be spread all around Zaria and Sabongeri. There are other areas too that have to do with expansion of the network and the rehabilitation of the old pipes that were laid tens of years ago. And there is also the other side of the construction of the booster stations that will boost the water to reach various parts of Zaria, Sabongeri, and the other envisaged local government areas that are to benefit from this project at the end of the day.
Most, if not all, of the movement to these events within the state is by road, and as time has proved over and again, any state which neglects the business of its road does so at its own peril and economic harm. Prior to the present regime in the state, its road network had suffered considerable dilapidation, some roads more than others, and for more than a few years.
I'm appealing to them so that they should just do the road for us, and this is federal highway. Yes, a lot of people are suffering of this on this road, and it's federal highway, so we need federal government to intervene.
The reason why the state government come in because the road is unmotorable, which is a federal road, and since the road has passed the state, so the state government decided that Kapwa, as a maintenance agency for all the state roads, that we should mobilize our equipment and our staff to come here and make sure we rectify the problem so that the motorists can pass effectively.
There are other roads, perhaps less problematic, that are also receiving attention.
We are faced with relocation of services, plenty relocation of services, ranging from the electric poles, electric cable, and indiscriminate laying of underground water pipes. That notwithstanding, here where we are, they have gone a lot far in the discharge of their responsibility in carrying out these works. Altogether, there are about 75 roads of various length within Barnawa as township roads. And the total of these 75 roads is about 23.8 kilometers. All these in Barnawa.
Roads may make movement possible, but it is houses that make homes for people. A fact underscored by the enthusiastic presence and participation of no less a luminary than the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, at the groundbreaking ceremony of the 2,000-unit hydroform estate. The determination of the state government to pursue partnering in providing affordable accommodation for its citizens was becoming concrete reality.
Yes, I know. I used to do this for a living.
The governor and his team, and of course the House of Assembly, must be commended for the very incredible change that we're seeing in Kaduna State. Now that's another major promise that the APC made, and seeing it come to be in Kaduna State will be a great thing indeed. I believe, just as Malam Nasir Rufai has said, that government is about the people. It's about improving the lives of people. If we can't make the lives of people better, then we shouldn't be in government at all.
Your Excellency, our goal over the next 4 years is to build at least 20,000 housing units in our urban areas to reduce the pressure and housing deficit in our state. Because of financial constraints, the state government is unable to do this with its own resources. So we've invited reputable companies to partner with us in this regard. We provide land and undertake to build the primary infrastructure while the developers build the houses and the secondary infrastructure. We are also talking to our banks, and we have the commitments of a few of them, to bundle mortgages with each of these houses so that our public servants and other citizens of Kaduna State can buy them easily and pay over 15 to 20 years period.
And it is only proper that greater accessibility to affordable housing should herald an upgrade in the documentation of both home and land ownership.
We want to ensure that everyone that owns land or has claim to land in Kaduna State has evidence of title, has a certificate. And we don't want to have different kinds of certificates of different qualities. There are also cases where people have printed our certificates of occupancy, so there is some forgery and fraud involved. We want to use the opportunity to clean out all those, because the new certificates that we're issuing have some security features that will make it very, very difficult, if not impossible, to forge. And also the new certificates will have electronic copies, so that when you want to sell land or mortgage it, lawyers can go online and check your title without having to collect your certificate. So there are many improvements, but our overall objective is to ensure that everyone in Kaduna State, whether you own farmland or land in your village, or you live in a building without a certificate, can now get a certificate of occupancy.
There is, however, another aspect to the question of who owns the land that reaches way back into Kaduna's history, which has thrown up its share of confrontation and sometimes conflict among its indigenous population. The last days of 2016 witnessed a particularly grim episode in its southern region that has spilled into the new year. The media, meanwhile, has become so awash with speculation, allegations, and hearsay that it is getting increasingly difficult to distill the facts from the fodder. And the Kaduna State government has been accused of various actions and inactions which have helped or hindered the situation. While understanding how the emotions of affected parties and even the most well-meaning observers can become frayed over such a crisis, the administration believes setting the record straight would serve the greater good.
What is happening now is largely as a result of what happened and was unresolved in 2011. And at that time, our understanding was there were three problems. There were the killings in southern Kaduna. There was cattle rustling and banditry in northern and central Kaduna. And there were urban gangs, these young people that take drugs and just come and kill and attack anyone they see at random. They call them Sarasuka gangs. So we knew that we had to address these problems. But the cattle rustling, we understood it fairly quickly, because essentially it was a Fulani phenomenon. They steal cattle, they hide in the forest ranges around Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, and so on. So we knew that if we went to that forest and flushed them out, would degrade their capacity. And today we have over 300 young Fulanis between 18 and 30 in custody for kidnapping, for cattle rustling, and robbery. The southern Kaduna was more difficult because we didn't understand it. And this is why we needed a high-profile committee like the Agwai committee to look at it. And they did. We established the committee in July. By the end of August, they submitted a report. They went round southern Kaduna. They talked to communities. They talked to everybody. And they came back with certain findings and recommendations. And the findings were very enlightening, even to me, who is Fulani.
With 2017 ticking on, Team El Rufai still believes in the vision of an again glorious and harmonious Kaduna. It had come into office on a platform promising change, and whatever odds, seen or unforeseen, that may be in its way, it remains determined to win the day through leadership that puts the prosperity of all its citizens as key to Kaduna's return to greatness.